At times of crisis, it's the job of a statesman to resolve problems, not inflame them, to show wisdom, to ignore popular clamour, to remind all parties of their obligations under international law, to emphasise our common humanity and look for long-term solutions that avoid a return to past horrors. Statesmanship of this kind has been utterly lacking in Britain ever since Hamas broke out of Gaza last week. Let's look at the shocking display from Keir Starmer on LBC Radio on Wednesday. The Labour leader was asked about Israeli Defence Minister Yoav Gallant's grim announcement of a complete siege of Gaza, in which Gallant said there will be no electricity, no food, no fuel. Everything is closed, adding for good measure that Israel was fighting human animals. Asked whether cutting off water and electricity supplies was a proportionate response to the Hamas attacks, Starmer said, "I think that Israel does have that right. It is an ongoing situation. Obviously, everything should be done within international law." But Starmer, of all people, with his distinguished legal background, must know that depriving a population of food, power and electricity amounts to collective punishment, which is illegal under international law. There is a terrible risk here. These remarks from a man seen as the British Prime Minister in waiting have given a green light for war crimes. To be fair to Starmer, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has been no better. After the Hamas attack, he went on television to express support for Israel. Then he went on to note that his support was unequivocal, which amounts to a blank cheque from the British Prime Minister to Israel to conduct itself in any way it chooses over the terrifying weeks ahead. Meanwhile, British Home Secretary Suella Braverman is doing her best to inflame domestic tensions by suggesting that waving a Palestinian flag could become a criminal offence. These responses from Starmer, Sunak, Braverman and others are especially reckless because of the horrifying language already being used by senior Israelis. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that Israel's response will, quote, change the Middle East. A former Israeli general said that Israel must create an unprecedented humanitarian disaster in Gaza. This is apocalyptic talk. Israel's right to self-defense does not extend to wiping out entire neighborhoods, medieval siege, random slaughter of children, or damaging water supplies. Yet Western leaders have signaled that they're going along with all of this. Some now hint at a second Nakba. In a heart-rending tweet on Wednesday, the Palestinian playwright Samar Sabawi noted, "I told my family in Gaza to get out when I heard reports the US is coordinating a plan to offer safe passage for civilians out of Gaza into Egypt. My auntie said, 'Do you guarantee we would be allowed to return?' I couldn't. I know ethnic cleansing when I see it. She refuses to leave. Death or eternal refugeehood? What would you choose? I pray that I am wrong, but I fear Western leaders are now establishing the political foundation that would leave us complicit in massacres, indiscriminate bombing, and ethnic cleansing. Meanwhile, inflammatory and reckless media reporting is establishing the emotional foundation. Never has the time for statesmanship been more needed."